Imagine your power goes out at night. No phone light, no stove, no heater. No street lights, no fridge humming in the kitchen. At first, it feels annoying. After 1 hour, it feels uncomfortable. After one full night, it starts to feel dangerous. Now, remove the walls. Remove the locks. Remove the police. Remove the hospital. Remove every backup battery you own. That was the ancient human problem. For ancient humans, darkness was not just the lights are off. Darkness meant the world changed owners. The camp became harder to defend. Food became harder to prepare. Cold moved closer. Predators had the advantage, and the human body, with its weak night vision and soft skin, suddenly looked very unfinished. So, when ancient humans found fire, they were not just impressed by something bright. They found a way to push back against the night. But here is the key point. When we say ancient humans were obsessed with fire, we do not mean they sat around staring at flames like it was prehistoric television. Although, honestly, that may have happened too. Fire is hard not to watch. We mean something deeper. Fire became a center of life. You had to feed it, guard it, carry it, protect it from rain. Keep children away from it. Stop it from dying. Stop it from spreading. A stone tool could be dropped and picked up later. A flame was different. A flame was more like a fragile animal living inside the camp. Useful, dangerous, hungry, and impossible to ignore. Most people assume ancient humans wanted fire for two simple reasons: warmth and cooked meat. And yes, that answer is partly true. Warmth mattered. Cooking mattered. A cold night could weaken the body. A cooked root or roasted piece of meat could give more usable energy with less effort. But that answer is too small. Warmth and cooked food explain why fire was useful. They do not fully explain why humans built routines around it, protected it like treasure, carried embers between camps, and may have treated a dying flame like a survival emergency. The real answer is bigger. Ancient humans were obsessed with fire because fire was not one tool. It was a survival system. It changed food. It changed sleep. It changed tools. It changed fear. It changed where humans could live. It changed what happened after sunset. And in a world without backup plans, anything that changed that many rules became impossible to ignore. Archaeologists have found traces of ancient fire use at several important Paleolithic sites. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, researchers have reported evidence suggesting early humans may have used fire deep inside the cave around 1 million years ago, though exactly how controlled and regular that use was is still debated. Other sites in Africa, Europe, and the Near East have produced burned bones, heated stones, ash deposits, charcoal, and microscopic traces that suggest repeated contact with fire. But fire evidence is tricky. Ash disappears. Rain washes things away. Wind scatters charcoal. Natural wildfires can leave confusing marks. A burned bone does not automatically mean a neat human campfire with someone telling stories beside it. So researchers speak carefully. Evidence suggests. Excavations indicate. Early humans may have controlled fire in some places long before they mastered it everywhere. And that uncertainty makes the story more interesting, not less. Because somewhere in deep prehistory, humans did not simply notice fire. They began learning its rules. Dry wood burns differently from green wood. Embers can sleep under ash. Smoke can help, but also choke. Heat can soften food, harden wood, crack stone, and ruin everything if the wind changes. That is not just discovery. That is management. And managing fire meant managing survival. The first reason fire mattered was not comfort. It was fear. For most of human evolution, night was not a peaceful blanket over the world. Night was a change in power. In daylight, ancient humans could scan grasslands, read tracks in mud, spot movement between trees, and move together with some confidence. But after sunset, the advantage shifted. Hyenas could smell what humans could not. Big cats could move with terrifying silence. Wolves and wild dogs could test the edge of a group. Even caves were not automatically human homes. A cave was valuable shelter for anything with teeth, claws, and the confidence to enter first. So when we picture ancient humans around fire, we should not imagine a cozy camping trip. No marshmallows, no acoustic guitar, no one saying, "This is so healing." We should picture a defensive circle. The flames made a boundary. Not a magic wall, not a guarantee, but a boundary that could be seen, smelled, and felt. Fire threw light onto bodies and faces. It exposed movement near the camp. It made sudden sound. It produced smoke, heat, sparks, and confusion. To an animal approaching from the dark, that glowing center may have looked irritating, dangerous, or simply not worth the risk. Researchers are careful here, because fire did not stop every predator. A hungry lion did not read a survival manual and politely walk away. But fire combined with group vigilance, noise, weapons, and social cooperation likely changed the odds. And in prehistory, changing the odds by even a little could mean children surviving the night. That is one reason fire became an obsession. It made the night negotiable, not safe. Negotiable. There is a big difference. Without fire, darkness simply arrived. With fire, the group could answer back. Someone could watch the edge of the light. Someone could feed the embers. Someone could hold a spear. Someone could pull children closer. The group had a center, a direction, a place to gather fear instead of each person carrying it alone. That is why fire was not just a thing ancient humans used. It was something they organized around. Now imagine a small group near the mouth of a cave on a windy night. The sky is black. The air smells of rain and stone. Children stay close under rough hides. Adults sit near the edge of the light, not relaxed, but listening. Somewhere outside the glow, an animal calls. Maybe a hyena. Maybe something larger. Maybe just the ancient version of, "I heard a weird noise and now nobody is sleeping." Then eyes reflect beyond the flames. No one rushes forward. No one assumes the fire solved everything. A hand tightens around a wooden spear. Someone pushes more branches onto the embers. Smoke thickens. The flames rise. The eyes remain for a moment. Then they disappear. That is the power of fire in ancient survival. It did not erase fear. It organized fear. And once humans learned that fire could change the balance between the camp and the darkness, losing it was not a small problem. Losing it could mean losing the night. But fire did not only protect humans from animals, it protected them from the environment itself. Ancient humans were not built like cold weather specialists. We do not have thick fur. We do not sleep comfortably on frozen ground. We are not great at being wet, hungry, tired, and exposed for long periods. Honestly, even modern humans complain when the air conditioner is 2 degrees too cold. Now imagine facing cold wind, wet seasons, open plains, high elevations, and long nights with no house waiting nearby. A sleeping human is vulnerable in a very simple way. The body cools, fingers stiffen, muscles slow. Exhaustion builds. A bad night does not just feel bad. It makes tomorrow more dangerous. Fire widened the margin. It warmed skin. It dried hides. It dried grasses. It helped protect sleeping bodies from cold ground and damp air. It made shelters more useful. In colder regions, this mattered enormously. Without fire, moving into seasonal environments would have been far more dangerous. With fire, humans could carry a small zone of warmth into places where warmth was not guaranteed. A cave became more useful. A windy ridge became survivable. An open landscape became less terrifying after sunset. This is another reason fire became an obsession. It let humans bring a piece of livable environment with them. Not a house, not a city, not comfort. A small, unstable bubble of survival. And that bubble had to be maintained. If rain killed the fire, the group lost heat. If wind scattered sparks, the group risked disaster. If nobody gathered enough fuel, the fire died before morning. If children got too close, the protector became the danger. Fire gave humans control, but it charged a price attention. This is important. Fire rewarded discipline. Fire punished carelessness. That may be one reason it became so central to human behavior. You could not be casual with it. You could not say, "We'll deal with the fire later." Later might mean cold food, cold hands, or no flame at all. Fire forced planning. And planning is survival. but the biggest change may have happened inside the body. To understand why fire became an obsession, we have to move from the campfire to the stomach. Imagine trying to survive on food that fights back. Not with claws or teeth, but with hardness, bitterness, fibers, toxins, parasites, and the simple fact that your jaw gets tired before your body feels full. For many animals, eating is not a quick break in the day. Eating is the day. Hours of chewing, hours of digesting, hours of turning tough plants or raw meat into just enough energy to keep moving. This is where one of the most famous ideas in human evolution enters the story. The cooking hypothesis. Researchers, including evolutionary biologist Richard Wrangham, have argued that cooking may have changed human evolution by changing the human meal. The idea is not that fire magically made humans modern overnight. Scientists still debate when regular cooking began, how widespread it was, and how much it shaped human anatomy. But the idea matters because it connects something ordinary, a hot meal, to something huge energy. Raw food is expensive. A raw tuber can be woody and bitter. Raw meat can be rubbery and hard to tear. Seeds and roots may hide starch behind tough cell walls. Some plants contain irritating compounds or toxins. Raw animal food can carry parasites and pathogens that nobody can see until someone gets sick. Fire changes that equation. Heat softens fibers. It breaks down starches. It makes proteins easier to chew. It kills many microbes. It turns hard roots into something softer. It turns tough meat into food that the body can process with less effort. And here's the key. Cooking may not only make food taste better, it may make food more usable. That is a survival revolution. A modern person trying to live on raw roots and tough meat would quickly learn that natural does not always mean easy. Your jaw aches. Your stomach complains. Your day disappears into chewing. Put those same roots in hot ash. Roast meat over coals. Warm bones near the fire. Crack them open and reach the marrow inside. Suddenly, the meal becomes more efficient. For ancient humans, efficiency was survival. Less time chewing meant more time watching the horizon, more time making tools, more time caring for children, more time repairing shelters, more time moving before weather changed. Softer food also mattered for the weak. A child could eat more. An injured adult could keep strength. An elder with worn teeth might still survive longer. A sick person could take in calories without fighting every bite. That is not just dinner, that is group survival. This may help explain a strange feature of our bodies. Compared with many apes, humans have smaller teeth, reduced jaws, and a digestive system suited to higher quality, energy-rich food. Cooking may have contributed to that shift, though it was probably part of a larger story involving meat eating, tools, climate pressure, and cooperation. But even if cooking was only one piece of the puzzle, it was a powerful one, because fire turned hard calories into usable calories. That is another reason ancient humans became obsessed with it. Fire did part of the body's work before the food entered the body. And when survival depends on energy, anything that gives energy back becomes precious. Now picture a cold evening hundreds of thousands of years ago. A group returns to a sheltered place near stone and scrub. Someone carries roots caked in soil. Someone else brings a limb bone from a carcass. The fire is low, breathing red beneath ash. The roots go into the heat. The bone is struck with stone. Steam rises, fat glistens. A child waits near an adult's knee. A wounded hunter is handed food soft enough to chew. No one has to spend the entire night tearing and grinding raw food. The fire has already done some of the work. That changes the rhythm of life. A meal is no longer just a private battle between teeth and calories. It becomes a shared event. Food can be gathered, processed, divided, remembered, and planned around. The campfire becomes a kitchen. And once fire becomes the kitchen, losing fire means more than losing warmth. It means losing the machine that makes food easier to survive on. But fire did something even stranger. It may have helped create the human night. When the sun disappeared, most animals lost part of their world. Vision faded. Movement became risky. Predators took over the edges of darkness. For many species, night meant hiding, sleeping, waiting. But around controlled fire, ancient humans gained extra time. Not daylight exactly. more like a small borrowed pocket of day. Inside that circle, hands could still work. Faces could still be seen. Tools could still be repaired. Children could still be watched. Wounds could be cleaned. Fibers could be twisted. Hides could be scraped. Bones could be cracked. Stories could be told. This matters because fire did not just make the night brighter, it made the night usable. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have noticed that daytime conversations often focus on practical work. Where to go, what to gather, who saw tracks, what needs fixing. Firelit evenings can become different. They often encourage stories, jokes, memories, warnings, teaching, and talk about people who are not present. This does not prove ancient humans behaved exactly the same way, but it gives us a useful window. And this fits the survival problem. Around a fire, knowledge could move. An older adult could warn children which plants made people sick. A hunter could describe how an injured animal behaves. A toolmaker could show how to strike stone. A group could remember where water was found last season. Someone could tell a story that was also a map, a warning, and a lesson. That may sound soft compared with predators and calories. It is not. Information is survival. A child who learns from a story does not have to learn from a wound. A young hunter who hears a warning may not make the same fatal mistake. A group that remembers danger can avoid paying for the same lesson twice. So fire may have helped humans do something rare. It gave them a regular place to think together after dark. That is another reason fire became an obsession. It did not just protect the body, it protected memory, and it made the group smarter than any one person. Fire was also a technology multiplier. This part is easy to miss because fire itself looks simple. Flame, smoke, heat. But once humans learned to use heat carefully, other materials changed. A wooden spear tip could be hardened by heat. Smoke could help preserve hides or drive away insects. Heat could dry meat. Heat could soften materials. Later, fire helped people produce adhesives like pitch and glue, allowing stone points to be attached more securely to shafts. In simple terms, fire turned raw nature into processed nature. A branch could become a better weapon. A hide could become better clothing or shelter. Resin could become glue. Food could last longer. A cold camp could become a workshop. This is why fire was different from many other tools. A sharp stone cuts. A spear stabs. A hide covers, but fire transforms. It changes whatever enters it. That makes it dangerous, but also incredibly powerful. And again, that points back to the title. Ancient humans were obsessed with fire because fire multiplied everything else they were trying to do. It made food better, weapons better, shelters better, nights better, gathering better, teaching better, travel into difficult environments more possible. Fire was not just one item in the survival kit. It made the whole survival kit work better. But there is one more reason fire held such power over ancient humans. Fire could be lost. That sounds obvious, but it is central. A stone flake can be dropped. A bone tool can be carried. A hide can be folded. But fire is alive in the practical sense. It needs fuel, it needs air, it needs shelter. It can shrink, flare, vanish, or escape. A group might preserve embers under ash. Someone might carry a glowing coal to the next camp. Someone had to gather wood before night. Someone had to notice when the flame was getting weak. Someone had to keep sparks away from dry grass. Fire made life safer only if humans obeyed its rules. That created responsibility, and responsibility creates obsession. You do not casually ignore the thing standing between your children and the dark. You do not forget the thing that cooks the food, warms the shelter, scares predators, dries the hides, hardens the spear, and keeps the group together after sunset. You watch it, you feed it, you talk around it. You plan around it. You worry when it gets low. That is not simple tool use. That is dependence. And dependence is the real heart of the story. Ancient humans were not obsessed with fire because it was beautiful, although it was. They were not obsessed because it was mysterious, although it probably felt that way. They were obsessed because fire changed the terms of survival. Before fire, night was mostly something to endure. With fire, night became something humans could use. Before fire, many foods were harder, riskier, and more expensive to digest. With fire, food became softer, safer, and more efficient. Before fire, cold landscapes pushed humans back. With fire, humans could push into harsher places. Before fire, the camp ended when darkness arrived. With fire, the camp had a center. That center was not perfectly safe. It was not peaceful in the modern sense. It was smoky, dangerous, hungry for fuel, and always one careless moment away from disaster. But it gave humans something they desperately needed: a little more control. And for ancient humans, a little more control could mean everything. So, why were ancient humans obsessed with fire? Because fire was the closest thing they had to a survival upgrade. It was predator defense, kitchen, heater, workshop, signal, social center, memory space, and nightlight, all in one. Not a convenience, not decoration, not just warmth. Fire was the operating system of the ancient camp. And once humans learned to live around it, the world without it became much harder to survive.